Anytime your name is mentioned in the same breath as Dan Marino.
Well, let me offer this to you. His name's being mentioned now, passing Dan Marino.
This is a guy who was tremendously productive, was a Heisman Trophy finalist, threw for over 4,000 yards, broke the great Dan Marino's school passing record in Pittsburgh.
Pickett over 300 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, Mark. He surpasses Dan Marino as the all-time leader in touchdowns responsible for.
It's not just the statistical side of it. Yes, the numbers are on the charts.
He plays the football game the way it's supposed to be played.
Great teams are led from within. Kenny Pickett has emerged as leader of this team, this program. He's leaving a legacy. That's tough to compare.
Kenny Pickett is no stranger to controversy. Shortly after one of the most controversial plays in college football over the past year, he took to Twitter to write "Change the Game" #H2P. He wrote this on Twitter because a NCAA rule was instated, all because of his quick thinking at the quarterback position. During the ACC championship against Wake Forest, the elusive Pittsburgh quarterback fake slid as during a rushing attempt, instead of conceding to the defender, he decided to pop back up to complete a 58-yard touchdown run. It was a play that shocked most everyone, especially the opposing defense.
Out in a hurry, and then what's he do? He hits it with the fake slide!
As a result of Pickett faking his surrender, the NCAA Football Rules Committee officially banned the fake slide move. Kenny Pickett, if he already wasn't on everyone's radar by being a top finalist in the 2021 Heisman Trophy race and throwing for a school record 40 touchdowns as he led Pittsburgh into the ACC championship, certainly was on everyone's radar after this special play that went viral and caused a rule change. Let's find out more about the most polarizing individual in the NFL draft, Kenny Pickett, and why he is predicted to be one of the first quarterbacks, perhaps maybe even the first QB selected by the end of the month in the 2022 NFL Draft. Break! Kenny Pickett's dad, Ken, doesn't have the flow that Kenny has, as in the long hair. He prefers to still wear a flat top haircut. There was one thing he did pass down to his son other than his name, and that was some very athletic genes. Ken Pickett was an All-American linebacker at Shippensburg University and an inductee into the school's Hall of Fame. Kenny's mother played collegiate soccer as well, and his sister was 3-time All-Conference in the sport as well. Even though Kenny started playing Pee-wee football at 6 years old, Ken Pickett thought his son's future would be in baseball. He grew up in an East Coast baseball hotbed after all, and according to Ken, he had this to say about Kenny's ability as a baseball player. He was a pitcher and he could really throw it, and played against a few kids who went on to play in college and are now in the minor leagues. Yet in Oakhurst, New Jersey, Ocean Township School, located just a few minutes away from the Jersey Shore, during the summers, Kenny didn't spend it like the other kids splashing in the ocean or laying out on the beach. He was playing football or any other sport that he could be a leader in. Kenny was the most competitive kid out there. Whether we were playing mini golf or football, said a good friend, former Pee-wee through high school and now Division III linebacker Anthony Tedesco, if we had 1 yard to get for a first down, he was going to do anything he had to get it. He was one of the toughest kids, but also the most selfless. You knew he was going places. Kenny always served as the signal caller, and although he had the arm to throw a really good fastball, his coaches suggested that pitching may mess up his football ability. So Kenny quit baseball and began to focus purely on the gridiron. By the time he turned 17 years old, Kenny Pickett started to look like a quarterback physically as well.
Sophomore year, I was 5'9", at the most, maybe with some socks or some shoes on. Junior year, grew a little bit to 5'11". Then I kind of took off growing wise and hit the weight room hard and got up to 6'2", 190 pounds, and then all the other offers started rolling in.
For his high school in Oakhurst, New Jersey, he passed for 4,670 yards with 43 touchdowns and rushed for 873 yards and another 17 touchdowns. That summer before my senior year is when I started to get more looks, said Pickett, who was also called on by North Carolina of later in the recruiting process, but Pitt came along and I committed in June. At Pitt, it would be difficult to live up to one of the most famous NFL quarterbacks who held all records, but Kenny Pickett was ready to be as good as Dan Marino was as a Panther. During his freshman year at the University of Pittsburgh, he served as the backup for most of the season, with his only start being the final game against the number 2 ranked University of Miami. Pittsburgh, led by the freshman QB, would upset Miami with Pickett completing 18 of 29 passes for 193 passing yards and a touchdown, while also adding 2 scores on the ground. Then in 2018, he got the call, starting all 14 of Pitt's games, leading the Panthers to the Coastal Division title in the ACC. Falling a few yards short of 2,000, he threw for 12 touchdowns with 6 interceptions. The next season, he missed 1 game with injury but amassed 3,098 yards for 13 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. That season brought Pickett more airtime as Mark Whipple was brought in to serve as the offensive coordinator / quarterbacks coach for the University of Pittsburgh. Whipple took advantage of Pickett's throwing skills, and even before his first day as a coach of the Panthers, Whipple was familiar with the Pickett family genes. He had been the coach at the University of New Haven and coached against Kenny's dad, Ken Pickett, in the Division II playoffs 30 years prior. Whipple told Kenny the first day he met him that, "I know your father. I coached against him. He won't remember it, but I sure as hell do." The Panthers posted a 7-5 record in 2019 and earned a berth to the Quick Lane Bowl in Detroit, Michigan. In that bowl game, Pickett threw for 361 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, including the game winner in the final few minutes of the contest to give Pittsburgh a 34-30 win over Eastern Michigan. But we haven't even scratched the surface of Kenny Pickett's remarkable accomplishments. And believe me, you're not going to want to miss this. 2020 really looked to be Kenny Pickett's year to really make some magic, and perhaps the year he would declare for the NFL draft. He started on a tear, earning above a 120 quarterback rating, but an injury in the 5th week of the season set him back a bit. In the game against Boston College, he suffered a grade 3 high ankle sprain and grade 2 sprains on the inside and outside of the lower ankle. I started walking a little bit more, and I just knew it wasn't good. So I had to dig down deep and finish that game out in the 4th quarter and the overtime. Pickett would say in a fall interview with Pro Football Focus, "We ended up losing to Boston College, but the pain just kept getting worse and worse as the game was going on. I got back to the locker room and the thing was just so swollen. When I got into surgery, the doctor said it was worse than what they had thought," which obviously wasn't great to hear. The injury that Pickett suffered would typically take several weeks, upwards of 6 to 8 to heal. Less than 24 hours after spraining it, he underwent tightrope surgery. Then he returned to the field in 26 days, just in time for Pitt's matchup against Florida State. "That's the kind of dude he is," Pittsburgh head coach Pat Narduzzi said. "He could have said, 'Hey, I'm done. I'm resting this thing. I'm not getting cut,' but he wanted to do it and do whatever he could to play and help this football team. He was banged up, but he played through it and never bitched once and never said, 'Coach, I can't do this,' or 'I don't know if I can practice today.' No, this guy never said one word, had it fixed, got in therapy, and came back out there as fast as he could, because that's who he is. Never complaining, he played through the pain for the final 4 games of the 2020 season, throwing for 404 yards against Virginia Tech. He led the Panthers to a 6-5 record, good enough to make a bowl in the COVID-shortened season, but the team opted out of postseason play. In 2020, his yards per attempt had improved nearly a yard, and he totaled 2,408 yards, 13 touchdowns to 9 interceptions, along with 8 rushing touchdowns. Now this is where things get interesting, because Kenny Pickett could have easily declared for the NFL draft after the 2020 season, but he was not at the top of anyone's big board. Not yet, anyway. And considering the fact that the 2020 NFL draft was one of the deepest quarterback drafts in recent memory, I could understand why Kenny Pickett wouldn't want to be selected in a draft that also featured Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, and Justin Fields. But instead, what Kenny Pickett would do was ask around and get advice from some of the best quarterbacks in the game to help him make his decision on whether to go or to stay for a super senior season, as he was granted an extra year of eligibility thanks to the 2020 COVID-shortened season. One of the first people he reached out to was none other than Peyton Manning. Pickett had met him during his time at the Manning Passing Academy, and the Hall of Fame quarterback had gone through the process as well, making the decision to return for his senior campaign at the University of Tennessee.
Somebody asked me this morning, what was the one thing that helped sway my opinion and help me decide? Well, there wasn't one thing. It was just like when I signed here. It was just sort of a feeling. I made up my mind. I don't expect to ever look back. I'm going to stay at the University of Tennessee.
Manning did not sugarcoat his opinion of Pickett, saying, "The consensus I'm getting is 5th round. Is that where you see yourself as a player?" So, according to ESPN, Kenny Pickett recalled that he made the decision right then without even speaking to another person to return to the University of Pittsburgh for his redshirt senior season. Kenny Pickett said, "It was a quick answer for me. No. I knew right then that I was coming back. I have a lot of confidence in what I can do, and that's not where I saw myself. I wanted to come back and give it one more shot, prove where I belong, and prove that we were capable of having a special season at Pitt."
Why did you decide to come back, and what was your process for making that decision? Because it probably was not the easiest decision.
No, it definitely wasn't easy. I was pretty set on leaving, after the last game of the season, but I just did my research. At the end of the day, I feel like what I was projected, didn't match my thought process on the kind of player that I am. So I wanted to come back for one more year and prove that. And, obviously this team is so talented, it was easy to come back. And the goal now is to win a championship.
Former Pittsburgh coach Jackie Sherrill said about Pickett that Kenny's one of those players who's really, really good, but doesn't act like it because he's never taking any of the credit. It's always his teammates that he's giving the credit to. As a player and a coach, I've been able to be around some of the great ones. And I'll put it this way about Kenny. If he were at Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, or anywhere, he would be the starter. That's the best compliment you can give him. So in 2020, Kenny Pickett would finally make heads turn. After putting up 51 points on UMass and beating the University of Tennessee by a touchdown on September 8th against WMU, he passed Dan Marino's passing record, but he left that game early, tied at 7-7 with an injury, and the Panthers lost 44-41. There was no doubt that Kenny would come back. He didn't miss a game, and with Pickett's 5 touchdowns the next week against New Hampshire, Pittsburgh started averaging more than 45 points per game. Pickett suddenly rose in NFL draft conversations, as in first-round talk and also in Heisman talks. He also started to win the hearts of more than just Panthers fans as his legend on and off the field continued to grow. After a win against Clemson, Pickett told a reporter during a post-game on-the-field interview,
"What does this mean?
Yeah, what does this mean for you guys?"
It won't mean anything if we don't handle business these next couple of weeks. So, we're really going to enjoy this one. I'm going to go have a cold one, and then we'll get ready for Miami.
Duke head coach David Cutcliffe, who has an eye for elite quarterbacks as he mentored signal callers such as Daniel Jones, Eli, and Peyton Manning, would see something special in the New Jersey native. The first time I saw him when he came on the scene, I thought, man, he's good. He's a draft choice. That was my blink reaction. Who is this kid? Because I didn't know of him. But when I saw him, how gifted of a passer that he was, and he commanded that offense, it didn't take me long. Against Cutcliffe's Duke team, Kenny carved up the defense, throwing for 3 touchdowns and rushing for another. Cutcliffe said that I was blown away by how accurate he is. Oh my goodness, he puts it right where he wants it to be. He throws about as good a ball, as catchable a ball as I've seen. The ball comes off his hand exceptionally well. And the other thing is, he is much more athletic and faster than you think when you get on the field with him and he's playing. He can move. Then for the first time in nearly 40 years, multiple quarterback records were shattered at Pitt. Many of those records that had Dan Marino's name beside them. Marino shouted him out on social media, and Pickett was again humbled, saying he's the guy you want to chase when you sign to play quarterback at Pittsburgh. He's a heck of a role model to have, and it means the world to hear my name anywhere close to his. Pittsburgh had not won 11 games during the season since 1981. In 2021, the Panthers went 11-2, winning the ACC championship and earning a Peach Bowl bid. In 13 games, Pickett threw for 4,319 yards to go with 42 touchdown passes and just 7 interceptions. Probably the most amazing stat is that he averaged 9.7 adjusted yards per attempt. Jokes would then start that Kenny Pickett had been the quarterback for Pittsburgh for 17 years, but really, he just had done a lot in the time that he was there, especially during his super senior season. He's a rarity in this day and age of college football, with quarterbacks leaving so early for the NFL, according to Mel Kiper, who had Pickett rated as the top quarterback in the 2022 NFL draft. Like Joe Burrow when he came out, Pickett will be a 24-year-old rookie signal caller in the NFL next season.
There's going to be 5-6 quarterbacks kind of vying for that top spot. Right now, healthy, Max. He wasn't last year. He had the ankle injury, affected his throwing, affected obviously his mobility. Now healthy, he's lighting it up. He's going to be a 24-year-old rookie in the NFL. He's going to come in with 50 career starts at Pitt under his belt. That's a big asset to him and a big plus for him. So Kenny, we're going to talk hand size. We'll see if it's around 9. That's where Joe Burrow was. Patrick Mahomes was 9.25. We'll see about hand size as we get to the combine, Max, and down the road in the scouting process. But right now it's Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett earned the 2021 ACC Player of the Year award and finished third in the Heisman Trophy race, becoming the first Pitt player to reach the ceremony in NYC since Larry Fitzgerald did it in 2003. His career accolades also include becoming the Panthers' all-time leader in completions, passing yards, touchdown passes, total offensive yards, and touchdowns with 101. The 40 touchdowns he passed for this season was the most ever by an ACC quarterback in the regular season. Pickett also rushed for 4 touchdowns via his feet, and his head coach had this incredible thing to say about him. The thing about Kenny Pickett is he's a true NFL quarterback. He's throwing the ball down the field in a pro-style offense. If you ever did a chart, whether it's Bryce Young or anybody else, and you put where the balls are completed, I don't think there's a quarterback in the country that's throwing the ball down the field in the spots that he has. And to me, that's what it's all about. Kenny Pickett also made a lot of money in his special senior year, signing name, image, and likeness deals galore to spread his wealth. He shared his generosity by taking his offensive line out to eat weekly at a local restaurant that he nicknamed Pig Out Dinners.
The big guys up front, they keep me safe. They take care of me, so I have to make sure I take care of them, which means a lot of lunches and a lot of dinners. These guys know how to eat.
He also donated money raised from t-shirt sales featuring his image to the Boys and Girls Club of Western Pennsylvania.
On behalf of me and my partners, we're donating 200 shirts to the Boys and Girls Club, and we'll be selling them online where all proceeds will be going to the organization.
His philanthropy raised enough to fund 14 Boys and Girls Club houses in the Pittsburgh area. One of the most humble kids you're ever going to find. That comes from his family. They're always caring, sharing, and thinking about people other than themselves, according to Tedesco. Kenny Pickett will also get paid a lot more very soon. He opted out of Pittsburgh's Peach Bowl to prepare for the 2022 NFL Draft, and he should be one of the top picks taken. According to ESPN analyst Todd McShay, he is the third best quarterback available. McShay had this to say about him. He has such a better understanding of the offense and what he's looking for from the defense. He's more decisive, and he's been pushing his receivers hard on where to be given what the defense is showing, and that's what a veteran leader should be doing.
I have Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh, who reminds me a lot of Mac Jones in terms of just how advanced he is processing defenses and how quickly he can go through reads. He's not a mobile quarterback, but he's really good maneuvering inside the pocket and then the accuracy. So I think he's pretty close to NFL ready right now. I had him going the Steelers at 12 with Roethlisberger obviously getting set to retire, as we believe, at the end of the season.
As far as comparisons, some say former LSU star and current Bengals standout Joe Burrow, who was also older when he became a rookie, remind them of Pickett, and physically, he most resembles Raiders quarterback Derek Carr, as they are almost exactly the same size, but he has also been compared to Matt Hasselbeck and Andy Dalton from NFL types after his pro day. Carr, I think, is the most similar, as he and Pickett are both solid athletes on film, and they look almost identical, rolling to the right to find open wide receivers down the field, and also delivering bullets from inside the pocket. Now we have to break down Kenny Pickett's strengths. First comes his vertical, which is expected to top out around 34 or 35 inches at the upcoming NFL Combine. He has a pure compact throwing motion that is efficient with high velocity. He is accurate fitting the ball into the tightest spots and can adjust his trajectory via adjustment of his arm angle. Even on the run, he displays accurate throws that still have mustard.
But to me, it's his athleticism within the pocket. He's got real lively feet. He's really urgent in all of his movements.
And in the pocket, he stands tall and remains solid through contact. His mechanics are exceptional. Attending the Manning Academy and spending the time with several quarterback coaches have paid off. He is known to play through injuries, but doesn't have a long list of them in his past. Mentally, he is a thrower and is confident and not easily shaken. The biggest downside to Kenny Pickett is his hand size, where his hands measured at 8.5 inches at the NFL Combine, which was the third smallest hand measurement of a QB since 2003. But he has a small weapon in a double-jointed thumb that can work as an extra force on his grip. For some throws, he gets caught on his back foot, causing a few passes to drop short. His stance can also sometimes be too wide as well, and that takes away from his arm strength, so there's some more arm strength to unlock. Yet on Pro Day, he eliminated any concerns about his arm, telling the NFL Network after his workout.
And so what did you feel was really important to show?
I'd say arm strength. I think that was one of the questions I wanted to answer, and got to stretch the field a little bit and have some timing with the guys, so it was great.
The risks he takes as far as remaining in the pocket too long or not bailing out when the pressure comes up in the middle could be detrimental in the NFL, where the defense is quicker. Pickett, although he can jump high, will need to work on his top end speed, in addition to his agility. He would be a gift to any team that needs a quarterback right away because he is mature on and off the field and has already logged 50 college career starts. As far as under the surface, pressure doesn't get to him. Kenny Pickett said during his combine interview,
I mean, you're going into the NFL, of course, pressure's obviously, it's a natural thing, but, whatever team I go to, I just, be myself and be the best player I can be.
One area scout made a good point about Pickett, saying no pick is safe, but I feel confident about him coming in and being able to handle the pro game. Kenny Pickett recently was invited to the NFL Combine and aced his interviews and showed out at his pro day as well. Pickett said during his Combine interview, in response to potentially following in Ben Roethlisberger's footsteps and becoming the next QB of the Steelers.
Right, I mean, obviously Ben's a Hall of Famer, like you said, and I've had multiple talks with them, and would be unbelievable, like I said before, to play in the city that I played college football in. I think it'd really be really special.
As far as what NFL hat he will be wearing on draft day, you can feel the excitement in his voice for Pittsburgh, but projections range being anywhere from the Carolina Panthers, which is his favorite team from his childhood, mainly because of the Philadelphia Eagles' Donovan McNabb.
You grew up in Jersey. Favorite quarterback growing up?
Donovan McNabb. I was a big Eagles fan.
He may even end up in a QB battle down in New Orleans. Pickett is ready to go anywhere and is confident about learning any team system.
I think you can get caught up in that. I think there's obviously 32 places I could go. I'm not sure where I'll go. Right now, I'm just focused on improving and getting ready for whatever NFL team that I could potentially go to. Once I find that out in April, then it'll be obviously a lot easier to know the system and learn that way.